Hey everyone, Future Drake here. And we'll get to the game in a minute, but first I wanted to talk about some really exciting stuff that we're doing over the next 2 months. This month and the next, we're going to be running an event called the Tales from the Table Reproductive Rights Charity Drive in order to raise money for the National Network of Abortion Funds. There are a lot of people out there who unfortunately are not in a position to be able to exercise their bodily autonomy, and the National Network of Abortion Funds helps with financial and logistical uh, assistance in being able to maintain that bodily autonomy. So everything that gets donated is going to be going there. We're going to be running a lot of really exciting games, from Avatar Legends to Roots to Legends of the Five Rings. We're also going to be doing Veil of the Void and taking a nice look into a brand new homebrew setting for Lancer called Rumble in Old Denver. Along with that, we're also going to be having a really exciting look next month in a 4 or 5 episode game in Rega, which is a homebrew setting for D&D 5th edition, created by an amazing creator, and I'm really excited to be talking more about that probably this week. But before we get too far into any of that, we're also going to be holding the Days of Tales, which is going to take place from July 22nd to July 24th, and is a series of 12-hour streams, which will feature some amazing one-shots run by some incredible individuals, and is going to feature a bunch of incredible players and some game designers, and is going to feature a panel and some fantastic giveaways, which will unlock as more donations come in. If you're interested in donating before then, you can absolutely do so. Just scroll down a little bit. There's a link that will take you directly to the Tiltify where you can make a donation. If you do, then you will immediately be entered into an incredible giveaway. And anyone who donates over $75 will get to sit down at a private game with Marshall from Iron Echo Games. At the end of August, the 4 people who donated the most are going to be invited to a private game with Jack of Gods and Game Masters, who is an incredible DM, who will be running a level 20 D&D 5e1 shot, where you are encouraged to bring your most powerful character builds, and it still might not be enough. We're going to have a lot more information coming out over the next few weeks, but we've got some great giveaways, from books to dice holders to some really awesome stuff that I can't talk about just yet, but will be in the next 7 to 10 days. So keep checking back here, check back at my Twitter at TheLionKnight42, and let's work together to raise as much as we can to help people who really need it. Thanks so much for listening, and I'm going to pass it back to Past Drake now. Please enjoy this episode of Dice, Trays, Action. When we last left the party, the group of you had decided, while on the steps of the Temple of Ozanti, to imbibe the potion of true name that you had obtained from Ethan, the reputable potion seller in the East Seat Market. Upon doing so, Toby had quite the interesting, if not odd, experience that ended with him getting the name of the investor for Moscow, a gentleman by the name of Baron Joseph Harold Hadley. At the same time, the Baron received Toby's name, though how or why that happened, no one really understands. Afterwards, the party decided to check up on this lead by taking a quick trip to the Bottle and Gold, an alchemical shop in Upper West Seat that was owned but not operated by the Baron. When they arrived, after first traveling through West Seat for the first time and seeing what a different part of the city it is, they found themselves at the Bottle and Gold, where the Baron himself happened to be. It seemed like he was friendly enough, interacting with the group of you respectfully and fairly positively, until you eventually brought up the missing people, at which point he attempted to lead everyone out to discuss on the road. Before this, Toby finally got a potential break in the curious case of the weird fish uh, with the alchemist who ran the shop, Kaina, who said that she would be willing to look it over and see if she could figure out what had happened to it and if it was something that could be reversed. With that underway, the group followed Baron Hadley out of the establishment to walk around the beautiful district of Upper West Seat, engaging in some conversation and raising some concerns about missing people. Till Kunskap suggested, as the Baron had began to wonder, if in fact his son was connected to this, having disappeared quite a while ago as well. Upon this, the Baron's demeanor changed quite a bit, looking potentially for hope in a place where he had previously had none. After making an agreement to set a breakfast date for the next day, the group parted ways with the Baron, leading them to research the entertainment district, Spotlight Row, in hopes of uncovering some more information based on the list that they had previously received from Valder Silverson. Going to Galdir's theater brought them to a rather unique dragonborn by the name of Galdir Austeria, who ran the theater and was the writer of all the plays that were shown there. After a bit of a discussion and some very heavy flirting with Toby, which was broken down fairly scientifically and explained away, the group of you were invited to an after party when the new play, which I have the name of here because I just wrote it down not too long ago, The Loss of Hope, would debut. So with tickets to the first of two showings, the group headed off, hoping to get more information when able to question the cast and crew outside of work hours to have a fairly overpriced dinner, or maybe not overpriced. It was a high quality dinner, but it was expensive as well. During which Girna and Kunskap took some time to review, to no avail, Aksha's master's journal. And so as we rejoin the party, the group of you have finished dinner and are now free to do as you will. Time is short between the between now and the beginning of the first act of the play. If you would like to make your way back towards the theater. However, if there's anything any of you would like to do before you do so, you are welcome to.
On the way, Girna will bring up the possibility of perhaps splitting up after the show. Some of us maybe going to the after party and the rest of us going to the hand.
I do not like this idea, but I see its merit.
I do not think that there will be danger in either case. And so I do not believe that it should be too much of a problem. Also, I suppose what danger is depends on who you are asking.
Let us see how long the play takes first, and then we can come to a decision later.
Okay. So with that, you arrive at Galdir's theater. There are quite a number of people in line, though having been through the theater, you can tell it will probably not be a packed house, at least for this showing. Whether or not the next one will be better, who knows? You present your tickets to the same woman who had sold you them earlier in the day, who almost sort of wryly smirks as she takes them from you. And as she takes yours, Girna, she makes a show of biting on it before tossing it away.
Does she have anything on her counter?
A bunch of tickets, a bag with gold, and a playbill, which she proceeds to hand to each of you.
Okay, good to know.
Does the playbill say how long the play is expected to run?
It does not. It does, however, have the play with the actors' names, although no one's name is quite as large, as written and directed and produced by Galdir Allsteria. And has a bit of like flame pattern surrounding the name.
Girna's just kind of standing and staring at the counter. Very still as they contemplate something.
How big is the crowd that is entering here?
I mean, it's a relative, like it's decently sized. Comparing it to how large you know the theater to be, it'll probably be about 50% capacity, maybe a little bit more.
Are there assigned seats, or you just find your own?
No, you just find your own, except for the first two rows, which as you walk in are like roped off.
Kunskap will attempt to find seats sitting next to one another before sitting down.
Sure, why don't you roll me a perception?
A 9.
Okay. Well, there are a lot of people sort of piling in, and there's a little bit of obvious social awkwardness for you, Kunskap, and you end up with seats pretty far in the back, simply because you have a problem sometimes telling where someone is sitting, waiting for someone else to join them, versus just sitting on their own and wanting to make sure there are enough seats for all of you. You definitely feel a bit out of your element here. But you do. You manage to find some seats near the back, about 4 or 5 rows from the back.
Kunskap will just sit and kind of cross their arms and try to shrink down as much as possible, not feeling very comfortable here.
What are the seats like?
You will probably have a bit of a tight fit. You may have to do that thing where you sit a little bit on one butt cheek and have the other one up a little bit, kind of like on your hip almost. But you can fit with some effort.
Toby doesn't like this, but Toby will make sure that he's at like the end of the group. That way he's not like smushed between two people.
As people are starting to settle, a human looks to be about in his 30s. He comes up to you and he goes, "Excuse me, sir. Would you like a seat?"
To me?
Yeah.
While I'm already sitting?
Yeah.
Toby has a seat.
My apologies. Would you like a larger seat?
Oh,
We can have one brought to you once everyone is seated so that you can sit in the aisle or directly behind your companions, but that way perhaps you'd be a bit more comfortable.
Yes, Toby would very much appreciate that.
Absolutely wonderful. And then he kind of turns and lets out this very shrill, sharp whistle and snaps his fingers. I disappeared when I did that. That was cool. And he lets out this like shrill whistle and he snaps his fingers, and they I gotta learn how to make that work properly. and like two people come over carrying a seat, and they're kind of like pushing people out of the way a little bit as they go. But they put it down, and he goes, "Would you like it beside your friends or behind them, sir?"
Behind, please.
Behind. See, he doesn't want to be blocking anyone. Come on, chop chop. And they like pick it up and they set it down behind the other seats, and they're like standing there almost expectantly, and he's like, "Shoo, be gone," and they scamper off. And he goes,
Yeah, I figure if it's behind wherever Aksha is sitting, like this
"Oh
works
yeah,
perfectly.
perfect. Yeah, enjoy the show."
Oh, thank you. Toby like goes in and pulls out.
Fish.
And Toby doesn't understand conversion rates. You would understand. So Toby's gonna pull out a gold piece and give it to him.
And have a wonderful evening, he says as he walks off, pocketing it.
So Girna's gonna finally move. And
Oh, have you still just been standing there?
yes,
So like while everyone goes to be seated, you're just like, "I'm here now."
she's been staring at the counter
Okay.
and she very slowly reaches out and then just very slowly shoves everything off the counter and then walks away.
And you hear like a commotion behind you. People just like, "Oh my goodness, what's happening?" Just, people are just like stunned by this act of atrocity committed here in high society.
Very slowly, very purposefully, just little by little, pushes it all off the counter.
Damn, Girna, that's cold.
Find the pearls, clutch them tightly.
my clutching pearls, get my clutching pearls, Daniel. I have them right here, ma'am.
So she's gonna go find her friends.
Great. Okay. So after about 20 minutes, everyone is seated. The torchlight sort of dims, and out walks Galdir. She goes, "Thank you so much for coming tonight. What you are going to witness is dramatic transcendence, darling. Together, from my lips to your ears, we shall go on a journey unlike any you have ever had before. Be warned, this may very well be a transformative experience. And whoever you leave here may not be who you were when you came in. No refunds." And with that, with like a big sweeping flourish of this giant skirt that she has on, she makes her way off the stage. So begins Act 1. In Act 1, you are introduced to two of the primary characters, a female hobgoblin called Ekhos and a male goblin named Gorbin. And Ekhos and Gorbin live in the same borough among goblin society. Ekhos is sort of a protector and a defender, and Gorbin is he digs. Despite being of two different castes, the two share a deep friendship and ultimately come to love each other. Though initially many warned them against this. As Act 1 comes to its conclusion, the two have finally decided to declare both to each other and to everyone in the borough that they are in fact in love and that they are going to share this love. And there's this big like musical number, which by the way, the play has up until this point not had any songs, but there's this big musical number that they share about their love, where they call it Goblin Loving Spree. And it's just this whole performance. And as it finishes, the curtain falls on the end of Act 1 to a relative amount of applause. Now, it was not very good. It was pretty contrite and awful, and the writing was very surface level. There's not a lot happening here. There's about a 3-minute break, and then Act 2 begins. So, as Act 2 opens, you are introduced to a new character, Tolliver. Tolliver is a human noble who is immensely wealthy and relatively lonely, and he travels quite a lot. And for the first 15 or 20 minutes of Act 2, they build him as an incredibly sympathetic character. He's seen a lot of hardships in his life and has really like learned from much of it. And eventually he stumbles across this barrow. And when he does, immediately upon seeing Ekos, he is completely taken with her, absolutely smitten. And there is the second musical number is one between the two where Tolliver promises to show her a completely new world full of riches and colors and wonder and beauty, and her sort of shyly refusing him because she, loves Gorbin. And at the end of this, Tolliver determined to make her his, kidnaps her and whisks off with her, taking her as his own.
Yes, the way all good relationships start.
Complete with mustache twirling, by the way. The end of this musical, like the song, ends with him twirling it as he acknowledges that that's how it'll have to be, and then snatching her and whisking her off as she screams for help. Gorbin unfortunately arrives too late, which brings us to our next musical number, where after about 2 weeks of Gorbin being told by the other goblins that he just kind of has to learn to move on, decides he's going to go rescue her. And so the song is about Gorbin trying to convince many of the other goblins and hobgoblins of the borough to come with him and help him. And at the end of it, only 3 have agreed, leaving him with a relatively small group of adventurers, but ones that will be trying to accomplish this. And so they set out off to save Ekos. And that is where Act 2 closes. Now, there's a definite improvement between Acts 1 and 2. While the plot may be pretty obvious and the characters are still a bit bland, there was definitely more depth. The music was significantly better, and there's almost a sort of charm behind the way a lot of the story is written. It's still on the lower end of theater, but significantly better than the contrite garbage that was presented at the opening. As Act 2 closes, it's announced that there will be and at this point, it's been about an hour and 45 minutes, almost 2 hours. And there is an announcement that there will be a 30-minute intermission to get up. There will be drinks served in the lobby for a small fee. Stretch your legs, do what you will, and then in 30 minutes the show will resume. And upon announcing this, Galdir also makes a note of sort of waving in Toby's general direction before exiting the stage.
Toby's gonna go look for something to eat or drink.
Boonscop is sitting in their chair with their feet up on the edge of the chair with their knees drawn up to their chest, just staring at the stage.
That's the lead lady was supposed to be a warrior. How was she so easily kidnapped?
Actually, I've heard of this story before, although there was a magic carpet. But I don't think she was kidnapped.
Hmm. I bet that when Zahiro gets there, she's not in the mood to be rescued, and she just sends him on his way.
I think this story is better than the story of the cloaked robin.
I think Kunskap's enjoying this. That is a person of culture.
It is
Toby
getting
is
late.
enjoying the play itself, but occasional pieces are creeping Toby out. One in particular.
It is getting late. Should we perhaps think about separating?
I do not like the idea of separating.
Just a logistical thing. How long would it take for us to go from here to meet with the hand?
We have to go through the market, lower west seat.
Like 45 minutes or so. Also, I have to make a quick change. I apologize. I got my times wrong. So if the show started at 6:30, right? It has been an hour and 20 minutes. So it would be around 7:50.
Okay.
And the hand just told us to meet with him at after dark, no specific time.
Correct.
So if it takes about the same amount of time to get to the end, say like 9:20, I'm thinking. 9:20, 9:30.
And you know that the next showing starts at 9:30.
Does the playbill specify how many acts there are? Because I would
Yes,
assume
that
3,
there are
but that's
3.
my knowledge. But like,
Yeah, it specifies that there are 3 acts.
okay.
I think we are fine watching the last act before going to the hand together.
So, Toby, I know you said you wanted to go look for food and drink.
Oh yeah, I dipped.
Okay.
And I followed him.
Sure. So, when the two of you go to the lobby, is anyone going with them or it's just the two of them?
I'm gonna go to see if she picked up all the stuff.
Sure. Actually, you gonna go with them or you gonna hang out with Kunskap?
I'm going to stay with Queen's Cup. We're just going to chill.
Just bask in the radiance that is this phenomenal piece of art. I get it. Sure. So the three of you head out to the lobby. She has picked everything up. Most of the playbills are gone, having been handed out, although there's a new stack, which you assume is for the next show. As for food and drink, there are behind a bar top counter that looks like it's been sort of pulled out from the wall because it definitely hadn't been there before, is a series of champagne flutes laid out with a gentleman dressed in fairly nice attire standing in front of the bar and exchanging drinks for currency. It's this middle-aged looking orcish gentleman with swept back blonde hair, sharp features.
Is that all that seems to be out? There's
Yeah, that's all.
Toby's pretty disinterested in this. So he's just gonna wander, kind of look around, and just chill to not be in there where he thinks eyes could be on him.
Sure, roll me a perception check.
I also make a perception check in the lobby.
Sure, you can.
I want to see if our leprechaun friend has been following us.
Sure, yeah, roll me perception.
12.
And Rory?
10.
10. Okay, so Brory, you don't see anyone that strikes you as the leprechaun or as anyone else who specifically has their eyes on you, as far as you can tell. Toby, as you're walking around with Brory, and as you notice Brory start to sort of peer around, you hear a number of voices above most of the discourse happening in the lobby that suggests that this is a next level piece of transitional or transcendent emotional art poured forth from the lips of the gods. And as you look over in that direction, there are 4 or 5 different individuals surrounding Galdir, just sort of raving in the most neo artistic way you can possibly imagine about how thought-provoking and earnest and real this is. She hasn't noticed you yet, being busy, distracted as she's showered in praise.
How close am I to the doors to go back in the theater?
You're like halfway between each set of doors at this point.
I would like to kind of like tug at Brory and just like stealthily make my way back to the theater as quickly as possible without being seen by this woman.
Sure, roll me a stealth check.
While he's doing that, is there like a crowd of people?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people out here.
I'm gonna pat Toby on the back and just walk through the crowd that are discussing how great this play is.
Just a different crowd, not the or like the one Galdir is.
Yes, the one Galdir's. Just
Okay, sure. So
straight through that.
So that'd be a 12.
you can roll twice. You can roll one more time because you have advantage. Thanks to the help of your. Yeah. So you get an extra roll and you take the higher result.
Let's...
Yes.
Do I? Do I? Do I? I do not. I do not.
Oh,
We're
no.
going with that 12.
What was it? It didn't even come up.
It was
for
a
me.
9.
Oh no. Oof.
I mean, a 12 could work.
So, you begin to sort of like sidestepping your way back towards the doors. You bump into someone, and they stumble backwards, and they're like, "Hey, watch where you're going!" And there's a couple people who like sort of start speaking about it, but just about at the moment where the person shouts that out at you, and Galdir's head begins to turn, is when Brory just cuts right into that crowd and is positioned well enough that maybe he can't completely obscure you, but he can keep the attention from falling like directly on you. And Galdir looks at Brory and goes, "You made it."
I did.
And are the rest of your friends here? I know I saw Toby earlier. Right? You guys gave them
Yes.
names, right? You guys did introduce yourselves. Did you?
I'm not
I
sure.
don't
about all of
remember
us, but
now.
I'm pretty sure Toby was still talking in third person.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yep.
Toby talks in third person.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes. So she would know Toby's name, but she would also probably want Toby's social security number if Toby had one right now.
Did
Fish,
the-
right?
It is fish, of course. Did the rest of your friends make it as well?
Yes.
How lucky you all are. You are enjoying yourselves, I assume.
Yes, it's honestly the first play I've had the pleasure of attending.
Oh, well, that makes perfect sense. She reaches out and kind of like, unless you're going to stop her, sort of almost cradles your cheek lightly and is like,
He's a distraction right now, sure.
You poor thing. It really is a shame what happened to you and your people. Are you from the Steel Marches, or were you one of the ones who left before?
I I left a bit earlier than that, unfortunately.
Oh, I see. Eager to see what the world outside had in store.
I'd like to think the world outside was eager to see what I had in store.
Wonderful. I love that. You are such a treat. I hope we will see you at the after party with your friends as well.
I'll be following their lead. Hopefully we'll be able to attend.
I can't wait. I would love to hear all about your time, both in the Pride Lands and afterwards, and hear everything, just everything about you. You, all of you are so interesting.
Insight to how full of it she's being right now.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Artsy types.
So
You can never read them.
so earnest. Perhaps, if it's interesting enough, I might even want to buy the rights to your story.
I would not be against that.
Ooh, so exciting.
Do I see that Toby has successfully made it out?
If you glance back, yeah, you can see that Toby has successfully ducked away.
Well, I'll get back to my seat and get ready for the final act.
Oh, enjoy. It is quite unique.
I'm not.
And then
Take
she
my seat.
turns and she sort of like puts her hands on top of another one of the people who she was talking to's hands and was like, well, I have to go make sure everyone's ready. And she just like cheek air kisses to everyone and aways. You know, what are you doing through all this?
Watching that chick.
You're just like grilling her.
Yep.
Eventually, she notices you and is just like,
I'm cool with that. Gira doesn't need to move. Gira doesn't need to breathe. I could stand here and just stare at you all goddamn day.
Spypot 9000. Well, while this amazing, incredible adventure is happening out there, Kunskap, Aksha, what are you guys getting up to? You all.
When Scott is still sitting with their hands around their knees, with their knees pulled to their chest, just waiting for it to start again.
Aksha is peering around, seeing if they see anyone familiar.
You can roll me a perception. Let's find out.
$17.
So looking around, there's no one here that looks outwardly familiar to you. It's just a sea of different faces, of different, species, colors, ages. It's really hard to pick anyone out of this crowd. And eventually, the group of you return to your seats, with Act 3 on the horizon.
Kieran decides not to push the stuff over a second time.
Boo.
How adult.
I think that's character development right there.
Yeah, that's character growth. You know what? Actually, this is something that I constantly forget to do. Kierna, you get inspiration. Congratulations. So Joe, I don't know if you're aware of this. So inspiration is this thing that you can get for playing your character particularly well or really great moments in game or whatever else. There's a couple different rules on how it works as written in the books. Generally, what I do is you can use it to re-roll any d20 roll at any point that you would like, as long as I haven't already given you the response.
You have definitely explained that to me at least 3 times now, and I have definitely forgotten it at least 3 times now.
Perfect. Great. Okay,
Yes.
cool. Then I don't feel like an asshole. Okay, so let's go down. Music swells, and we begin Act 3. As Act 3 begins, Gorman is now standing outside of the gates of the large, looming castle that Tolavir calls home. And a lot of Act 3 is sort of cut into pieces, jumping between 3 different events. Gorman and his party essentially fighting their way through this castle, through hardships and turmoil, and very often coming very close to death. On Ekos being sort of preened and pruned and taught the ways of nobility by maids and servants and other women of the court, and slowly starting to be educated in what's expected of her as Tolavir's partner. And Tolavir, with these sort of musical numbers interspersed throughout it of just success and power, and it becomes clear that for him, this is all really a non-important event in a much larger personal story. He has aspirations of eventually overthrowing the king who rules the kingdom that he resides in, and has been amassing an army, and is really far more focused on everything else, and that Ekos is kind of just the thing that allowed him to once again find motivation in the plans that he had been working on. And about halfway through the act, one of Gorban's allies is stabbed through the gut and meets an unfortunate, untimely death. And there is a whole almost power ballad by Gorban where he sings about how he's going to give this his everything because she's his everything, and he won't allow for his now dead friend to be forgotten. And it's just this rousing moment of almost pulling the audience into this turmoil and desperation. Eventually, Gorban bursts through these set of wooden doors, which are the only things between him and Ekos. And they fling open, and there are a few of these maidens and whatnot in the room, but no guards. The last one lies dead at his feet, and he looks up at Ekos, and he tells her he's come to save her, and he reaches out his hand, and the lights go down. The next scene, as the lights return, see Tolavir and Ekos, what you have to assume is earlier in that day, standing on the one of the what are they called? One of the towers of the castle. And Ekos is begging him to let her go back because she doesn't want to be here. And he shouts at her enraged, I've given you this life, I've given you all these things. Why don't you want this? And she expresses that it's just because she loves Gorbin. And so Tolliver tells her, leave if you wish, but if you do, I will burn the burrow to the ground. And that's the last thing he says before he storms off. After this, again, big musical number about burning down the burrow, slaying everyone within. We go back to Gorbin standing outside, or standing inside the room with his hand outstretched, and Ekos tells him to go. Gorbin is distraught, confused, unsure of what's going on. She sings this beautiful, almost haunting melody of how she isn't who he thinks she is, and how this is what's best for the world, and how they could never truly be, and how this is the life that she's always wanted to live. And as the song goes on, she just is more and more passionately selling him on this idea that this is where she wants to be. She doesn't want to go back with him. And Gorbin eventually, heartbroken, leaves. He walks off out down the dirt road that leads up to the castle with the one remaining ally. And he stops, he looks back up at the castle, and the curtain falls. And the play is over. And almost the entire crowd bursts in raucous applause.
I have people clapping. That is the worst story I've ever seen.
Hunskop stands and starts clapping enthusiastically.
Toby will clap as well, but like not raucously, like still sitting. He'll be like, that was fun.
Bari just says that was not good.
Aksha doesn't understand. It was interesting.
Sort of thing was supposed to leave the audience happy at the end.
Hopeful? No, not hopeful at all. It's very sad.
I suppose it is the title.
True.
Hunskop turns the other, goes, I can't wait to tell the creator of this fine piece of art that the simplicity and the downright lack of intellectual pursuit in this entire endeavor was refreshing.
I think I shall accompany you for that.
Yeah. So after a bit, people begin filing out, and you guys are sticking around. There is a lot of discourse about how this is unlike anything they've ever seen, and it will be playing for years to come. And just
Why wouldn't they just kill the bad guy? I don't understand. All the guards were dead. Just kill him.
as
Hunskop-
you. Oh, go ahead.
Hunskop leaves quickly and tries to find the producer of this fine piece of art.
As
I'm gonna follow Kunskop. This should be amazing.
sure. As the two of you walk off, everyone hears a voice of one of the people walking by, and they're just like, "This was brilliant. Of course, Tolliver was a metaphor. You see, it makes perfect sense. He was a metaphor for the true need that we all have to be accepted at any cost. It's beautiful, really, if you think about it, Ekos is the only real villain here.
Irina slowly turns her head in that direction and then looks away and just kind of shakes her head a bit, with her little mechanical eyebrows raising.
Toby does not understand this critical analysis.
Gundskop, you and Brory easily enough manage to find Galdir. Sorry, managed to find Galdir. Again, just surrounded by people. Brory, most of the people surrounding her are the same as before, and they are just heaping nonstop compliments on her. You see she's got just like a bundle of roses in her arm now, and she's just like, oh, please stop.
Kunskop goes up and waits for a lull in the conversation before saying, "This play was absolutely incredible. I have never seen such a long period of time used to say absolutely nothing. I am astounded, amazed even. My entire pursuit in life is to find knowledge and wisdom, and there was none to be found here whatsoever. And it was relaxing. Even I was absolutely pulled in by the void of the lack of any sort of critical artistry whatsoever. It was I'm relaxed now. It's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders."
Bury is holding back laughter. Do I have to make a performance check to do so?
Yep, absolutely. In fact, they're not the only ones who will be doing that.
Every roll tonight.
Oh, jeez.
You so failed that.
What was it in total?
2.
So, Bury, you, along with like half of the people there, just start like snickering into like full-blown laughter. And Galdir is just
I have my hand over my eyes right now.
so absolutely furious.
Kunskop doesn't stop. They continue on about the absolute lack of forethought in the entire narration of the story, that it seemed as if the writer had decided to pull out the most vacuous parts of their mind and place it upon paper. It was incredible. I didn't think such a thing was possible.
You know, you might be the only person who really sees the value in this show. Yes, that's exactly what this was. It was a commentary on how important it is to have empty concepts and dreck. All of these people so stuck with their own heads up their asses. She says as she sort of like glares at all the people who are laughing. Constantly heaping praise. That's exactly what this was. Your insight tells you that she is completely full of shit and is kind of just rolling with what works.
Okay, I was about to say if like he was about to be mortified that we're not going to be kicked out of here.
No, she's just trying to save face however she can. She saw an opportunity to put herself over and she's doing it.
So the nonsense with her being kidnapped, even though she is a skilled warrior, that was purposeful.
Oh, you went with them? I thought.
No, she came along.
Oh, okay.
I did
wasn't
not.
gonna miss
No,
that.
I
you
did not.
didn't. Of course, all of it was very, very carefully, intentionally done, written on on a completely different meta narrative level.
Do I think that she's full of shit?
No, you don't have to roll anything. You are fully aware. You all have passive insights of more than 10. You know.
Kunskap will nod along with her and go, yes, yes, indeed. It's like it's indicative to the nature of societies like this one, where people will try to find insight in things that have none.
Of course, because honestly, they are just desperately looking for any way to appear deep or knowledgeable or insightful.
It almost places an entire premise upon the entire act of this creation to begin with. Why do it? It has no purpose. Indeed, everyone who's involved with this sort of vacuous art form should just stop and try to find something else to do with their lives.
I can understand why you would think that, because I assume you haven't been to too many shows before. But there's a fine line between making commentary on commentary, as we have here with the empty brilliance of the show, and the quality content of storytelling itself. There's quite a value in it when done correctly, but unfortunately, so many people are very, very bad at it.
Maybe next time you should just name the play Empty Brilliance and just go along with the meta in its absolute base.
What an absolutely brilliant idea. Perhaps I shall have to start writing Empty Brilliance tonight.
It's already been trademarked, sorry, and then Kunskap starts walking away.
I'll nod and follow him, just holding back laughter.
Yep, just follow.
Sure.
Do we see Toby anywhere?
Oh, he is like by the door waiting for y'all.
Okay, good.
Like outside already?
No, he's got 1 foot out the door. He didn't abandon everyone, but like
And what about you, Aksha?
Well, actually, it just kind of like climbed up on Toby's shoulder and was like just hanging out.
Nice.
Aksha's the tallest person in the room.
Yeah, and you guys sort of all get ushered out as they're prepping for the later showing.
Specifically us or everyone?
Everyone.
Okay.
It's like not just you.
What's up, Soka? I was sitting there thinking that I might as well have eaten my gold. But now I feel like I should have paid it to you. Yours was a much better show.
Perhaps my future is indeed enacted.
I take it we are no longer invited to the after party.
We can only hope as much.
He was very pleased with my commentary. I don't see why you're all thinking otherwise.
People were laughing, so I actually assumed somebody was having a good time.
I do not believe we have been disinvited, but perhaps we should be careful upon our return.
I think we should just avoid Spotlight Row as a whole.
We still have questions we need to ask here.
All right. Well,
Well, we have another job to do, so why don't we go get that done?
Indeed.
Yeah, what time are we at?
At this point, the sun has set. It's coming up on about 9:30.
Okay, and we have about a 45-minute walk.
Yeah, 45, 50 minutes.
All I know is that everyone's calves are going to be very, very defined by the end of this week.
Sure.
So we walk over to meet with the hand. Yes.
Sure. And the walk back to the walls is a fairly uneventful one. As you follow the path down, now kind of on the other side of the park that you usually were walking across West Seat, it brings you right up against the West Seat Market, which seemingly is a place that never closes. There are torchlights burning even now, when people still, mostly in the stalls and not the shops proper, still selling and trading goods, along with people sort of peddling wares along the streets leading to and from the market. The further down you get, as you find yourselves cutting kind of past lower West Seat and into the warehouse and production districts, again, things pretty quickly take a deep dive, falling off from the well-maintained and upkept houses and shops to become more industrial, large factory-style buildings with large amounts of crates and barrels and other containers sort of piled around, and work dirt roads sort of carving paths down into the sort of ruddy runoff that is the walls. It's easy enough to remember the path that you took last time, and the symbols that you had been shown help lead the way, and eventually you will find yourselves back at the what seems like the warehouse that had been where you met with the hand the last time. Moment.
Trying to get jazzy again.
It is time to get jazzy again. Just give me one moment. So you find yourselves back at the good old storage facility, which you are permitted entry into, and eventually through the rising stairs, find yourselves back in the Hands Club, for lack of a better term. A lot of the faces that you see are the same as those that you've seen here before recently. Yeah.
Is there anybody that like seats us, or do we just kind of wander around?
Nobody seems to really be paying you much mind, except for the Goliath at the entrance, who is grilling all of you. But otherwise, no, you are free to enter and do what you will.
Okay, how do we do this? Do we just sit and wait to be noticed? Do we ask for him?
You can sit at the table we sat at before, I guess.
Good idea as any. So
So,
Can I-
Rory, when you make it to about there. Oh, that's weird. For some reason, your vision doesn't extend. Let me fix that a bit. Boop.
Right.
Huh. Okay, so as you get about there, you notice Everall step out from further into the establishment, and he sort of approaches the group of you. Just sort of looking all of you up and down. And he goes, "Welcome back. You may make your way to the office as you did last time. Galbraith is expecting you."
Then we cannot make him wait any longer.
It is a good idea.
as I go past him, I kind of like nod, thank you.
Hmm. And he turns and like follows after the group of you all. and then stops right outside the door. Cool. Once you are all settled into seats, after a moment or two, the door behind you swings open, and Galbraith emerges. He takes a moment to nod his head towards you, Aksha, and goes, "Welcome in Draconic." And then as he walks past you, Toby, he sort of like rests his hand on your shoulder for a moment in sort of greeting before it like sort of slips away and he settles down into his seat at what seemingly would be the head of the table, rests his cane against it with his gloved hand atop it. He goes, "I'm so glad to see all of you again."
I'm sure that the pleasure is mutual.
I would hope. Now that I can be confident that you are not planning to share any of our business with the guard, we can talk a bit more about the specifics of everything, if of course you still are interested.
That is a question I had.
You may have.
My friend Aksha is here looking for a friend of her mentor.
Hmm.
Should the worst happen and we need to leave, would there be a way for you to leave a message with someone in Ambergate?
That shouldn't be too difficult, but as with all things, it comes with a price.
Okay. And that price is?
That depends wholly on the contents of the message and the danger of getting it there.
She'll speak in Draconic. The message should not be anything dangerous or for any one of yours. I just need to find answers about my mentor's murder. And everywhere I go, everyone keeps telling me this person is not available or not here. And I wonder if that is the truth of the matter.
Well, he says back in Draconic, once again, for the right price, I wouldn't have a problem with finding out if they are here or not.
How much would this cost?
Small favor to be named later, with the understanding that it will be of equal, minuscule value, and were it to be something that would offend your sensibilities, you would be able to refuse and we would find something else suitable.
Very well.
In common, he goes, "It's a deal then."
Yes.
I will find this information for you. I will, of course, need his name.
Bryn Tolwyn.
Mm. Interesting. And your master is a friend of his.
Yes.
Mm. Quite a wise man, Bryn. Wisdom beyond his years, they say. I will find out what you need. Now,
Thank you,
onto
Yerna.
what I need. If, again, we are still working together,
We are.
but then first I must apologize to you for a bit of misdirection. You see, when we first spoke, I suggested that there was no timetable on this. And that is unfortunately not the truth. But I hope you can understand my need for care, considering you had a conversation lined up with someone who could be quite detrimental to this particular line of work. Nothing against the lot of you, of course, but I had to be protected. Now, once again, if that changes things, you are welcome to go. I am not interested in tricking any of you into my employ.
As long as the rest of what you said is true, I do not see an issue.
Everything else that I've said is true, but I cannot fault you for assuming otherwise. I have lied to you, and as such, you must assume I am a liar.
A 25 insight check.
So he doesn't seem to. He seems to believe and mean what he's saying right now. He has. He legitimately is willing to let you walk. He doesn't. He doesn't believe that there will be any major issues with what he's asking you to do. But other than he seems to be honest, or at least means what he's saying on whatever level you can tell. Nothing stands out as particularly untrustworthy beyond the obvious single thing, which, to be fair, is fairly logical on his part.
So how quickly does this job need to be done?
Well, the 25th of Green Spring is the Prosperity Day celebration. I will need this finished before then. At least by nightfall on the 24th.
What is today?
Today is the 20th.
Something of a rush order then.
Just a bit.
Where is the item?
The chest containing the item is in the archives in the Southreach Memorial Museum. Have any of you ever been?
No, I cannot say that we have.
Hmm. It is a large place with many artifacts. I say this although I am not particularly concerned. While you may take things you would like not on display, anything that is presently on display, presented or otherwise, I would respectfully request that you leave as is, and perhaps that you do not rob them blind.
As far as I'm aware, we are not generally thieves. So,
Good. But the object that you will be acquiring for me should be either in their lower archives or, in a worst case scenario, their vault. There are very few ways to get inside, but there is a gentleman who may be able to help you with that once you reach Amber Gate. You see, the museum, that museum, because may the gods forbid they put it in a museum that everyone has access to. That museum used to once be a mansion, a home to a long forgotten noble of Southreach who died quite a long time ago. So, while they've converted most of it, I believe there is still a way directly into the cellar, which should cut out about half of the troubles. But you'll have to find your way onto the property first. Beyond that, there's very little I can give you directly.
perhaps a daytime tour is in order then.
Mhm. It will be more difficult to do that, as I can get you into Ambergate, but I cannot necessarily do so in a way that permits you free roam of the district. It's quite a careful place. The rich do love their privacy.
Rory, would you happen to have any contacts in the museum, as I'm assuming the guild does have a little bit of, shall we say, acquisitional work for the guild?
Would I know offhand, or
If you could come up with a good reason for it, you could probably get it. But you would have to come up with a really good reason for it. Because, yeah, that makes sense. The guild is the guild, and they have a lot of pull in a lot of places. And a museum is absolutely under their purview of places they would want access to. But there's got to be a good reason for you to go in there.
if I had a good enough excuse, I could more than likely get us entry there, but I would need a good enough excuse for us to get entry there.
What type of things do they keep in this museum?
All sorts of things. There are many statues of past people of importance. There's an entire wing devoted to the armor and barding and revelry of Saint Dinvella. There is the archive of ancient texts, which has a number of different volumes of the rewritten Sapientia Legerium. There is many other things found in or around Southreach that have importance and are worth far too much for the peasants to see. I do believe that the personal effects of Saint Dinvella is a temporary thing, and we'll be traveling back to Dine Santfi at the end of the month. But do not quote me on that, as I may be wrong. I would be surprised if they let us keep them here.
And who is this contact you have?
Someone who happens to work there. Someone who owes me a number of favors and is happy to acquiesce my request for aid in exchange for cleared debts. Living in Ambergate is so expensive, you know.
So we have to find our own way into Evergates, and then they will show us how to get to the museum, or the other way around.
You will have, if you wish to tour the museum or operate within daylight hours, you will have to find your own way into Ambergate. Otherwise, I can get you in. Or rather, I can get you past the gates. Beyond that, you will have to find your own careful way to the museum. And from there, my contact can help you inside, at least through a large portion of it. Past that, you will be on your own. They will be able to provide you with whatever insight they have as to what you will have to deal with to get to what I'm asking you to get. But beyond that, you will have to use your own wits and capabilities, of which I am confident you have many, even if you have gone out of your way for some reason to convince our good friend Valda that you do not. Now, the next thing for us to discuss is what exactly it is that I'm asking you to liberate. Among the many things that you will find inside of this archive, there's a chest. About this big. It shouldn't be particularly heavy or difficult to discern from its very unique markings. It will be inlaid with gold and with jewel, and across the top it will have inscribed, perhaps not quite words, but symbols. And that chest, which I guarantee you will be able to recognize very quickly, that is what I would wish for you to bring me. Do not look inside, but bring it. And you will be paid both with the information you seek and a handsome sum of gold that I do believe we have previously discussed.
Why is it that you do not wish us to see inside the box? What if the item was already removed from the box and we just bring you an empty box?
I worry that if my answer was for your safety, you wouldn't believe me.
I don't know. Why don't you try?
For your safety, then.
Insight.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure. If anyone else wants to roll, one other person can also roll on this.
Freaking Ark of the
Sure.
Covenant, you open it and just everyone's face melts off.
It's a 22.
How bad is it? 17.
But you both can tell. You both can tell that while he is being honest in his statement, he means that there is definitely more to it. He is also obscuring things. But that is not to say that he doesn't believe that looking at whatever is inside may also be hazardous to your health.
Very well.
I will need you to give me your word on this. I trust the group of you to not go back on that if you give it, and am very concerned with what might happen if you did.
The only caveat to that I have is that if I somehow sense that this goes against some of my other responsibilities or oaths, I will have to pursue it.
And what oaths are those?
To the knowledge of my gods.
Interesting. What if we do this? If for some reason you believe, upon seeing this chest, that it would have some kind of knowledge of your gods, then you bring it back and we can open it together.
Agreed.
Good.
Is there perhaps a map of Ambergate that we could find or locate or use so that we are not stumbling around confusedly when we enter?
Yes, I can have that brought to you. Easy enough. Should I prepare for a way to get you into Ambergate, or is that something you think you can handle on your own?
We will inform you of that by 1 o'clock tomorrow. If one of your employees wishes to find us at that time, we will have an answer then.
And where should they look for you?
Outside Ambicate.
Interesting. Well, then I suppose we will have our answer tomorrow. Do you have an idea on when you would be able to take care of this matter?
I am hoping that we finish it as soon as possible. Tomorrow night would be, I think, a good way, as long as nothing comes up between now and then. There will need some preparation for such an endeavor, and that is something that I want to take very, very close attention to.
Good.
It is unwise to conduct a battle in a place you do not know. I
Oh,
think that saying also applies here.
I wholeheartedly agree with you.
So before we enter such a place, I think we should attempt to see it. Whether that be through your means or through our own, but at least getting us inside during the day to at least first see the building would be intelligent. What security do you know that they have? How much magic do they use?
My dear friend, this is Southreach. In a place like Ambergate, in a place like that museum, there will be quite a wealth of magic in use. All legal, of course, but there will be much magic. It is the gift from Balas, after all.
Hopefully, we will not need to use our illegal magic in response.
Yes, hopefully.
Anyone else have any questions? Rory, Aksha, Toby?
No,
So-
Aksha is good.
So we have 4 days to get past the gate, get into the cellar, get into the vault, retrieve the box, get out, get back past the gate, and bring you the box.
All right.
Is that correct?
Yeah. That is correct.
Okay, no further questions.
Yeah, if the box is damaged at all.
Again, much like how I would prefer you not look at the inside of the box should not be damaged in any way that would reveal its contents.
But if we were to say, dump a bucket of paint on it,
Well, it would be quite a shame to ruin something so beautiful. If it is what must be done, it must be done.
okay. Then I believe we should take our leave.
You are welcome to stay and enjoy the drinks, the food. I think perhaps there might be a fight later, but it is up to you.
We have a very unfortunate party to go to.
Is that so? Look at you all already becoming the talk of the town. Is it a fun one?
It is a cast party for the players of the what the hell was the name of the place?
The Galdir Theater.
The Galdir Theater.
Ah. Good luck.
I would rather be here.
Most people would.
All right. The rest of you are ready?
Yes.
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 Galbert kind of looks at you strangely for a moment. Toby?
It's okay. Toby would much rather be here.
Then return soon. With that, he rises and he's going to make his way back into his office.
Kunskap starts heading out, and as soon as they leave the building, they are moving.
Well, hang on. Before you make it out of the building, as you exit the room that you're in, Rory, as you go to leave, what's the marching order, by the way, through this door?
Probably go first. Was closest to the door, so
Okay, so Rory, then me, then Kunskap or Kirna, probably.
Okie doke. Cool. So, Rory, as you exit, Avral is sort of standing there and he's just sort of watching you for a moment. And as you walk by him, he goes,
where'd he go?
"What?"
Where'd he go?
As you walk by him, he goes, "You were not there, were you?" It's the wrong voice, but
Hmm?
you were not there. Boy.
No.
Do you have time tonight?
For what?
I wish to invite you to join me for the night's prayer.
All right. Uh, I'll meet you two back at the inn later, I guess.
Scott will nod and continue to leave the premises, heading back to the guild hall.
Toby will follow because are we heading back to this party?
I thought so.
Uh,
So, just for like out of game knowledge, Jeff.
Yeah.
So, on average, the nightly prayer is about 40 minutes long. So you will miss a substantial portion of the party.
As I said, I'll probably just head back to the inn afterwards.
Okay, cool.
And Kunskap doesn't have any interest in a large gathering of people. They've already been burnt out on that for the day.
Kunskap's not going to go either.
Kunskap may have uninvited himself before.
He might have uninvited the two of us, so.
Oh man.
Okay. Girna, Aksha.
Aksha will still go to this party and see what he can learn.
Here and I will accompany him.
Toby will reluctantly go.
Yeah. All right.
Perhaps a bloody elf for the road.
Toby's gonna be throwing down
Bloody dwarf. Bloody dwarf.
bloody everything after this.
It's gonna be a bloody dragonborn. She gets handsy.
Damn.
No means no.
Whack with stick.
10 feet, 10 feet.
Social distancing.
The true purpose of the 10-foot pole.
Indeed. To keep the thirst at bay.
That's what he needs it for. Just there's constantly women just all over Toby, and he just has to constantly keep them at bay with this 10-foot pole.
Toby's a BAB, a badass bear. Everyone's like, damn, you furry. What is good?
Told
Don't know how
you they
he
like
could-
them thick up north.
Hey.
I don't know how he could bear that kind of attention all the time.
Oh.
Oh.
Ching.
Do they do stand up here at this club?
Oh, waka waka.
Kunskap leaves the city behind forever. and never
Everyone's entitled to one bear hunt, so.
You think that Kunskap is leaving because he's done, but in truth, the Eye has decided to play a comedian bard for the next character. All right. So, the group of you separate with Kunskap Soccer heading back to their tent, and Girna, Aksha, and Toby heading to this party, and Rory to share a prayer with Everall. I would like everyone to roll me a 20-sided die.
13.
13.
He knocked into mine and it turned to a 1. That's still
17.
13.
16.
Never using this digital die again. It hates me.
Rory Toby reroll.
Reroll.
Actually, hang on. No, I'm lying. Okay. So Evral, so with everyone else gone, Evral will lead you over the bar top. Which gets a bit of a look from the bartender for a moment. And then here to this back room. And as he does, he begins the process of going to over to one of these barrels back here, prying off the top and pulling out a large rolled up rug, which he will roll out before looking back over at you. Do you have yours? I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
No. I have not had it since I have left.
That is all right. You can take mine. And then he pulls out a bag, just like a sack. He opens it and he proceeds to pull out some incense and some small palm fronds and a few other things that you recognize as being part of setting up for a holy area. You know, when it happened, we blamed you.
Repeat that.
When it happened, we blamed you. Not personally, of course. But many of us could not understand why Aliana would take away our home unless it was because we had failed you, those who chose to leave.
Okay. So I have to ask if you knew me, like specifically or something.
It's time for the first major twist. Rory caused everything. No,
That'd be his luck so far.
wait, I am the villain. But no, he is referring to the people who chose to leave Alarad Haba. He pulls out his sword, carefully lays it down on the ground away from the two of you and the things he's been setting out. As I have traveled the lands, it has become less clear to me that this was why. There are, after all, many reasons that could have led to it. But I have to ask, why did you leave?
It was not by choice.
You were banished?
No. Something happened, and while I do not wish to go into it, I found myself out of the Pride Lands before I realized it. Be it the goddess's will, or however you want to interpret it.
Sometimes our bodies are quicker than our minds. This world is so different. Strange. The way they live, the way they see each other is so different. The way they see us, it gives us power. It may not always feel like this, but it is true.
My experiences have seemed to have been different than yours.
Hmm.
Seem to have landed on your feet.
Aliana forges a different path for all of us to follow. This is true. But I wholeheartedly believe that if we do not give up on her, and she has not given up on us, through whatever mistakes, accidents, misdirections may have led you from her home, from our home, she will welcome you back one day, the same way she will the rest of us.
I can hope as much.
Though we may be scattered, we will always be one people. And what? Oh, go ahead.
I'll be honest, I haven't looked much into what has happened. Checked in on our people.
It is hard to do this. We are scattered now. Cast throughout the world.
If I was to look for someone, is there a place that, or a person I could seek out?
Why don't you roll me a persuasion?
Do-do-do-do-do. So good.
So what's that in total?
Solid 2.
Nice. There might be. But for now, perhaps we should pray.
He nods.
And with that, he kneels and begins leading in prayer. Now, to Obi, Girna, and Aksha, the group of you are heading to a very exciting night on the town. So, it's a bit of a walk to get back. Good. It's a bit of a walk to get back, but one that you are getting familiar with or will continue to. Or one that you are getting familiar with. And you find yourselves back at Galdir's theater just as the crowd is letting out. This one is a little bit bigger than the earlier crowd. And again, so many of these people seem to just be enthralled with whatever it was that was happening on that stage. The group of you like to do?
Did we ever clarify that the party is inside where the theater is?
No, but it's a fair enough assumption to make. You have no audio.
I guess I'll wait for the crowd to clear a little bit and then go inside.
Sure, yeah. The crowd kind of disperses, and it's easy enough for the group of you to get in. One of the person behind the bar, the same orc with the swept-back hair, goes, all right, and just sort of points to the double doors leading back to the theater.
And just go. Wait, first I'm gonna go back to the bar.
Okay.
And
He's just kind of like cleaning out a flute.
may I have one very strong drink?
Drinks are on inside.
I don't trust those drinks.
Why?
A very wise woman once told me to never drink any things that you have not poured yourself or watched be poured.
I mean, I'm taking off in a couple minutes. I'm not going to be here pouring drinks all night.
Well, then I should get a very strong one before you go.
Roll me a persuasion.
Oh, better than me.
That is the hope.
Well,
Mwahaha.
Well,
Eight.
well,
he rolled better than you.
That's true.
Hates me.
is there any like you said he's packing the bar up, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything still clearly out and there perhaps in the direction where he's not currently looking.
You know what? I'd like you to roll in your percentile. So if you look down at the dice in the corner, you see how there's like all the dice laid
Yeah.
out under the chat? The 2 dice next to each
Yeah,
other.
the D100, yeah.
Yep. Roll me that. That's I'll give you a 50% shot if you want 50 or less.
Oh, 23.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a bottle of rum that is on the far end of the bar top, and he is very clearly busy with Girna.
I would like to attempt to take it.
Yeah, you can roll me a sleight of hand.
Mm,
Or a stealth. You could do either. Either's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna find. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to see what my stealth is.
Yeah, no worries.
Stealth works.
Cool.
10. This place does not like us.
I'll roll with disadvantage. Oh, lucky you. So, Girna, you notice out of the corner of your lens that Toby is approaching the far end of the bar top and seems to be looking at this bottle, this pretty fancy looking bottle of rum. And so you are able to sort of position yourself at a slight angle, drawing away Mr. Bartender's attention enough that Toby, who is not particularly graceful here, is able to sort of bump into the bar, and as he like steps away, slides the bottle off the bar top with him, and like he keeps it clutched to his chest. The bartender goes, sorry, can't help you out. I got a family to get home to.
Well, I suppose you cannot keep them waiting.
Nope, not if I want to keep both my legs.
And most people do. You'd be surprised how many.
Not very surprising, but yeah.
As the barkeep finishes closing up for the night, he'll find a gold piece kind of stuck in the corner of the bar.
Sure, yeah.
You're just gonna go.
Sure. And and Aksha, what are you up to?
Aksha's just kind of looking around.
Sure. So I assume you guys go into the like theater proper at this point.
Yeah.
All right. And Toby, you too? Just double checking.
Yes, I follow. I'm keeping very close to these two. I'm gonna offer Girna a drink, even though I know she is not gonna take it.
Hannah looks slightly confused for a moment and then she just takes it, dribbles a little bit down her like faceplate, and gives it back.
Awesome. I will also offer to Aksha.
Oh, no, thank you. Aksha drank once. No, wasn't good.
And then Toby kind of gestures to the rest of like the room and everything, and he's like, not good. And takes a swig.
Awesome. So it's pretty rich. It's a very like rich, heavy rum. It's very spiced. You can kind of taste a lot of the different not so subtle flavors that have come together in this drink. But it's kind of savory as well. It's pretty good, and the warmth just sort of runs right through you. And you enter into the theater, and as you do, your ears are assailed with music that is familiar, as it was what I guess you could call the soundtrack to amazing theater going experience that you had just been through. And walking along the stage are a number of the performers and some people that you assume were probably stage crew, and flanked by her, what seems like her entourage, the same group that had been with her during the play. Galdir stands sort of center stage and is in the middle of explaining how the entire story is this deep, passionate metaphor for a lack of content and the desperate drive of people to find meaning in even mindless nonsense. She notices the three of you enter and kind of stops and waves over. Oh, I'm so glad you made it. If you will excuse me, she says as she excuses herself away from the rest of the group and begins making her way towards the three of you.
Damn it, we should have put Toby in a hat.
Big swing. Big swing.
Toby's in a hat.
Yeah. Toby.
Different hat.
Very tall hat.
Put my nightcap on. Go to sleep.
We passed by the Dominestica. We could have got the hat from there.
Oh, giant Pope hat.
You fools. So she comes over, and as she gets there, she leans in and she starts with Ugirna, and she goes to do the like cheek air kisses thing.
Wow.
And then she sort of just pats you on the head and moves on over to Rory, who is she just
He's
sort of
not
like
there.
Rory's not there.
no, I meant Toby. I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, if I could switch places with him right now, but that's not what you said any of those potions did before.
It's not. There are others.
I would have done the same.
Oh no! Oh, she goes over to Toby, and she just kind of like puts a clawed hand on your arm, and sort of runs it down your arm for a moment before like letting it fall away. And she's like, "I'm so glad you're here. Please, you must tell me everything about this. What you thought."
Toby had never seen a play before. Toby was awestruck with the deep metaphors and rich narrative. Toby does not know how to express this further, but so much meaning, so great. Are all of your plays like this?
Roll me a deception. Because I assume that's not how Toby actually feels.
You'd be surprised.
Oh, then you
Toby
don't.
genuinely enjoyed it.
If you did, then that's fine. Yeah, no deception.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. Toby doesn't know what to think, so Toby is trying to put this in words.
Oh my dear, handsome and sweet. I am so lucky to have you around. Come, you must have a drink, and I will introduce you to my friends. They are not quite as good at understanding the brilliance of art as you are. It's quite surprising to me, since you've never seen a play before, for you to so quickly grasp the concept. And she almost sort of like tries to elbow her way between Toby and the rest of you.
Toby is, if she has one of my arms, probably with the bottle in it, to be honest. My other arm is going around Girna's arm.
You know, Toby, I do not believe that you have told us much about your significant other.
Oh, yes.
There was an
She is-
immediate like glare shot to you from Galdir.
Oh, yes. She is wonderful. Miraculous. She is strong, confident, powerful, taught Toby so many things. Ah, I miss her so. She is so far away. And I'm like pulling my arm back, like as I'm doing this, but also like because genuinely kind of sad.
Oh,
I am sorry that it has been so long. What is your beloved's name? It's been so long he doesn't know.
No.
Toby been walking so long, forgot wife's name. Very sad.
Wow, you terrible. You terrible. Oh, Toby's mate. Toby's mate is Val. Val was great worker, so passionate, able to do so much with so little. Had family with Val, knew her for years. Two sons with Val. Fully grown now, haven't seen in such a long time.
Oh, an entire family. That is so
Yes.
lovely.
Yes, we made our living by the lakes. It's solitary existence for much, but we did much with little. As I said, I catch fish. She is able to make with fish. She's able to construct, to work, to fashion clothing and ink and trade and so much, so skilled.
Well, she sounds lovely.
She is. I hope to one day maybe see her again.
Yes, she sounds wonderful.
She is wonderful.
Perhaps
Val
one day
is
you
the
may-
love of Toby's life. He's like getting like right up in her face for this. It's like Val is wonderful. Perhaps you could make play for Val.
Wouldn't
Maybe
that
Val
be
sees one of your
wonderful?
plays one day. And I like take another big swig of this drink.
Perhaps if she has the same sort of impressive comprehension as you do of the arts, then that might be wonderful.
Toby would love to see that one day. But Toby forgets himself. Toby needs to remember why he is here. He is here for party, and he is here to ask questions. To ask questions. We want to talk. He takes another big swig.
Oh, yes. Would you pardon us, please, for we have much work to do?
Yes, go on.
Girna's gonna keep her arm hooked in Toby's as they go.
Yes, Girna can like kind of like pull Toby along, and Toby is going to be very grateful for this.
And you can hear Galdir sort of huff as she stomps her way back to her friends.
That one can go choke on her new goblet.
Girna, thank you for saving Toby. Toby owes you great debt. Would you
Saving
like another
people?
drink?
Saving people is part of the job. Yeah. Dribbles a bit more down.
You must forgive
Sure.
Toby. I still do not understand how ghosts work.
I do wonder what this drinking and eating is like. I'm told it can be quite pleasurable.
Yes. Yes, at times. So who's around us now? Like we've moved toward what other people, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of people who are here. And it can be kind of difficult to single out who's crew versus people who just have been invited. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have the group of you do sort of a group investigation. And for the sake of time, if it's okay with everyone, I'm going to speed us along just a bit.
And roll the mean die.
See, you talked shit and it went from a 16 to a 3.
Ah.
I hope you guys roll better.
We shall see. Okay.
Holy crap.
Ooh,
Okay.
So what are those in total? Hit me with those numbers.
Total? Was it 40?
No, it's so you take the die roll and you're gonna add your investigation.
Oh. Yeah, so mine's still 19.
Aksha.
It's just 18.
And Girna, yours is a 3 in total, or
Becomes a 5.
Yay! Points.
We're all very proud. Okay. So the three of you spend a lot of your time sort of making rounds and making pleasant conversation wherever possible to sort of try and suss out if there's anyone who might be worth talking to. It takes a while just of getting through people who have never really had any interactions with Cirrus, or people who don't even work here, or the actors, a lot of whom have no real interest in dealing with the crew, which you've learned is more likely than not Galdir's work, as she has instilled in most of them who consider her their mentor, that it's important to keep the crew and the cast separate, lest you foster unrealistic ideas of grandeur within them. But eventually, a member of the crew, manages to point you in the direction of a stagehand by the name of Esme Havash. Esme Havash is a 50-something-year-old dark half-elf, so a bit on the younger side. But a 50-something-year-old dark half-elf who you are told is or was at least the closest thing that Cirrus had really to a friend here at the theater. Esme was who helped teach Cirrus the things that he would have to know in order to have the job, and sort of managed him for a bit. She is explained to you as also kind of a bit of a loner. She doesn't talk too much with any of the other people who work here, but they have been seen talking together a number of times. She is, in fact, at the party, and you are pointed out in her direction, which is a seat where she sits talking with one of the other stagehands while sipping at a glass with some kind of brown liquid that is more likely than not uh, a liquor of some kind. She has very very dark, almost like like a midnight black skin and long bluish grayish hair tied into a ponytail that sort of flows down behind her. And as I assume the three of you approach, the person she's talking to sort of naturally just takes off, having ended the conversation. And she goes, and she sits there, sort of just looking into her drink, clearly not paying attention to the world.
Aksha's going to kind of bounce into her vision, like, pew, and look at her with his really big eyes
Well,
and strike up conversation. Hello. Hi. My name is Aksha. These are my friends. I was wondering if you could help me.
well, that depends on what it is that you're looking for help with. Aksha and friends. If you're looking to have a stage assembled, I can do that. If you're looking for free tickets, not so much.
Oh, no, no tickets. And if you assemble stage, this is very impressive. Yes.
Thank you. Well,
Very
I didn't do
impressive.
it myself. There were a bunch of us.
I was wondering if you could tell me about Cirrus.
Oh, yeah, Cirrus was really sweet. Why? What do you know about Cirrus?
Unfortunately, Cirrus has been said to be missing, and we are trying to help find him.
I knew it. I had a feeling he had gone missing. He just stopped showing up one day. He's not the kind of person who would do that. He needed the money. He definitely hadn't made enough yet. Not with what she pays us.
Do you remember the last time that you saw Cirrus?
It was almost a month ago. We had been we had set up the stage for a practice run of this, and then we went home, and he just never came back.
Do you know where he was last staying?
I think he said that he was staying at, it was an inn. What was the name of the inn? Um uh uh it was the screaming jug. That's what it was.
What part of town is this?
That's Lower West Seat. Stayed there because it was close. Well, as close as he could afford to be without, you know. Otherwise, he would have been looking at a really long walk all the way from East Seat, and well, he was a pretty small guy with his tiny legs. It would have taken a long time to get here every day. He would have been really exhausted, so he was staying there. I offered to let him stay with me, but he wasn't comfortable with that.
I see. Did he talk to you about anything that might be negative, or he have anyone that was upset with him?
Not that I knew of. I mean, he kept to himself, but he was a really sweet guy. He didn't make enemies.
Hmm.
He did say there was there was one time when he mentioned not that he was in any trouble or anything, but he said that he might have figured out a way to go home sooner. So I guess that would mean he would have had the money he needed, but that was all he said, and don't really push.
Okay, that is all Aksha needs to know. But thank you. Do Toby and Gerna have any other questions?
Is there anyone else that they were friends with?
No, it was just us. We're kind of the black sheep.
What? Why are you considered black sheep?
Oh, well, there are a lot of people who are uncomfortable with people that come from so far away because sometimes they can be kind of different, and Sirius's whole deal was sort of really different from what a lot of people know, and he was really shy, and it led to him sometimes being treated a little less than he should have been. And I know everyone always just says I'm weird. I daydream a lot, and I'm so good with people.
I think perfectly
Toby-
nice to me.
Yeah, Toby kind of goes over, puts hand on shoulder, and is like, "Nothing is wrong with weird. Toby has met many strange people. Some are now Toby's best friends."
That's really nice. Thank you. I don't know where he thought he was going to get the help or the money from, but he seemed like he had something lined up for it.
That is good information to have. Do you know when he spoke of this to you?
It was a couple days before he disappeared. I had thought maybe it had something to do with it, but Galdier told me I was being ridiculous, and he probably got what he needed, and so he left. He was trying to save his family's farm. So it made sense. If he got what he needed, why come back? Just go home so he could get there as quickly as he could. It made sense to me.
We will keep looking into this more. But thank you.
If you find anything, could you please let me know?
Yes, and if you happen to hear anything else, maybe you can find us and let us know.
Where could I find you?
What's the name of their inn?
You can leave a message with Annie.
Yes, you can leave a message with Annie.
Okay, I'll do that. If I hear anything, I'll see if I can ask around. Maybe someone will know something.
That would be most appreciated. You are quite kind.
Thank you. I really hope you find him.
As do we. Unless anybody has anything else to say, you're just
I do
gonna
not.
do like a very polite little bow.
Okay.
I think
As they walk away, Aksha is going to mention. She mentioned that Sirius is small. Are all these people relatively small that have been gone missing?
I think most are.
you're gonna pull out her little notebook and flip it open. Let's see. We have one Elven Mal, a human female, a stoutling, a half-orc human, halfling.
No, the half orc is big. So, perhaps
Hmm.
not.
Yes, different sizes.
All young though.
Yes. Exactly as the sort of individuals you would want if you were looking for workers.
All looking for money.
Hmm. This finding a way to go home sooner is very suspicious.
Many people here in Southreach. Many could be offering people money in exchange for job, but job is not real. Job make them disappear.
That was my thinking as well. But I think that is all we will find here tonight.
Yes, actually agree. Let us go before the hostess comes back to bother us more.
Okay, so where are the three of you heading for them?
We are ways away from the inn.
Mm-hmm. It's a walk. You can take it, but it's a walk.
Rory went back to the inn, right?
Rory
Yeah,
went
he
back
went
to the
back, yeah.
inn, and Kunskapsuker went to their tent in the financial district by the guild hall.
And have we paid for rooms still at the inn? Like we're still
No, you're gonna have to pay again.
okay. So Rory is potentially doing that now.
How much were the rooms? It was like 8 silver for the 3 rooms.
I believe so. Yes.
Uh,
You could just call it 2 silver for the night.
I'll pay for their rooms also for when they come.
Okay, so how many rooms are you paying for?
3. 'cause-
3. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Toby would start the walk or want to start the walk back to the inn.
Aksha,
Yeah, we will go. I will go back to the inn.
fair enough.
Will escort you, and then I will go to Annie's to deliver the nightly message.
Mhm. All right, and so with that walk, we turn our attention to Kunskap. Kunskap, as you arrive, you set up, I assume, your tent and your area. Yes. Are you setting up your flag again for tonight?
yes.
And is there anything else that you would like to do?
Besides fog cloud again, no.
All right. So tonight you have 2 more visitors. Though very little of any substantial interest comes of it, and while your gods do guide you a bit on finding the best road to offer to them, there's little beyond that happens. You do receive 6 silver for your trouble, but beyond that, not much else. However, is there anything else you would like to do tonight?
We cast good berries, but besides that, no.
All right. Now, then when the group of you return to the quiet night, Klaus greets you and Pavish explains that your rooms have been paid for.
Yeah.
You- Oh, yeah.
When I get there after paying for the rooms, I would want to see if I can finish up the project I've been working on before Toby and Aksha get back. If at all possible.
You want to finish the project?
See if I can.
Sure, roll me a tinkering check. It's a pretty simple thing you're putting together, right?
I explained it to you.
I just wanted to make sure I was remembering it right.
I can.
You will have to do a little bit more in the morning, but if you take like an hour in the morning, you'll be able to finish it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and you won't have to roll for that. So if I do ask for a roll, just remind me. But you won't have to roll for that. You just take like an hour, finishing touches, and you are good to go.
Toby's gift should be ready then.
Ooh, exciting. So the last thing we're going to do before we end the night and our session is, Kirna, what is the message that you are going to leave with Annie?
I am going to say that we did some research into some of the people that went missing, and that we found out that Sirius had been promised a way to go home sooner, shortly before he vanished by a mysterious person.
All right, and with that, the group of you call it a night. Kunskap. You said before that, what was it, nightmares and hopes are often the same thing for them? Tonight, when you sleep, your dreams are different. Tonight, when you sleep, you dream of a darkness, a blackness in which you float. And surrounding you, a small, individual, bright white lights, filling this endless blackness like fish in the sea, like sand on a beach, dotting everywhere around you. And much like in a river, much like in a waterfall, they flow downwards. And with them, so do you. But it is not a feeling of falling, but a controlled descent. There is a serenity to it, a peace. And then you hear it, a tearing sound, like the ripping of fabric. And you continue to descend, the pace quickening rapidly until you fall into a body of water. Though what's strange is, and you notice it only now, in complete silence, that before now was that sound of steady rushing water. And a voice, a whisper in a language you don't know, but somehow understand. Softly says to you, follow the path. And the words wash over you, filling you with hope and determination and passion. And ahead of you, deep within these waters, you see something you've seen before. Just these two red eyes looking back at you. And then you wake. And that is where we're going to leave it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you everyone for watching. We sincerely hope you enjoyed. Join us next week, where I will be doing a hopefully live sit down with one of these amazing individuals, TBD on who. And then the week after that, we will be back with more episodes of Dice Trays Action. Until then, take care.